In the last 3 years, 12 men, all linked to each other, have died brutal deaths in Uganda. All were leaders of their community. All were Muslims. Many of the dead appeared on a so-called hit list. So far, no one has been convicted of these killings.
I heard gunshots outside. I tried to come from the bedroom. We were all panicking, but I told them, please, you don't go anywhere. We have been told to stay where we are. When I go in my bedroom, and I heard something, maybe it could be anything, maybe knocking somewhere. I could fear, thinking that maybe something is going to happen again. Maybe they have come back. So up to now, I still have that fear.
The identity of Sheikh Kasangaki's attackers is still unknown. Of the 12 killed since 2012, all but 2 were shot, usually in the evening, between 8 and 10 o'clock. The attackers arrived on motorcycles, kill with 2 to 5 shots, then disappear. Friends, family, and bystanders are usually left unscathed. The consistency of the crime signature seems to indicate a systematic plan. But who would want these Muslim leaders dead? A key arrest has been that of Sheikh Yunus Kamoga, the leader of a Muslim sect called the Tabligh. He and 7 of his followers have been charged with 2 murders and the attempted murder of a 3rd sheikh in January. But they are fiercely contesting the charges. We went to meet Kamoga's lawyer, Fred Muwema.
For more than 6 months, they have sought to be given the evidence that implicates them, and this evidence has not been forthcoming. Many of the detainees have been tortured. I have seen evidence of the torture. One of the gentlemen has a deep scar on the head. There have been efforts which have failed to try and get Kamoga and his colleagues to confess, with a promise that if they confess, they'll be released. So for us, we believe that the conduct by the police is suggestive of a lack of a good case.
Sheikh Bahiga was fatally wounded on the spot on December 28th last year, much in the same way as the others, at night by gunmen who escaped on a motorbike. The state accuses Sheikh Kamoga of killing him. Kamoga's supporters say no, the death was provoked by a property dispute. Sheikh Bahiga's widow disputes this, so we went to investigate. We tracked down a local councillor. He helped arrange the property deal and knew the brokers. He insisted they were properly paid and that they had no complaints about Sheikh Bahiga.
I am the one who joined the broker to Mr. Bahiga.
Right.
Because they're all my friends. They are my friends.
So the claim that a broker was chasing him for money to pay them is not true.
No, it's not true.
But other sheikhs have died too, and not all of them were part of this conflict between Tablighs in the capital city. One of the victims was even a Shia.
Many have been killed. Even the Shias have been killed. So is there any other hidden plans from somewhere coordinating these killings?
Clearly, the role of disunity is central in appreciating what is happening. But then in the eastern part of the country, some of those gunned down have nothing to do with the disunity in the Tabligh movement.
We have seen in the past a number of people being arrested, held incommunicado, then eventually they appear in court with no evidence. Or when corruption thrives in the country, if I want the money, it becomes very easy that Uganda is under threat of Islamic fundamentalism. And what does that mean? We need money. Money to do what? To fight these radical Muslims.
A Human Rights Watch report in 2009 detailed regular use of illegal detention and torture by the Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force. The majority of the detainees were Muslim.
They said that I am a Mossad operative in Uganda, Mossad. I've never met anyone from Mossad. Now, this is what happens. They arrest you, they put any charge, and they throw you away, provided you not get bail in court. You rot in prison.
Our enemy, the Muslim enemy, they are doing this to divide us. Here in eastern Uganda, we came across more wrinkles in the idea that ADF were involved in the killings. This is Mayuge, close to where the police told us they had dismantled an ADF cell responsible for a number of murders, including that of Sheikh Abdul Muwaya, the leader of Uganda's Shia Muslims. It was the day of Ashura, a day of mourning in the Shiite calendar. Sheikh Muwaya's son, Haji Bongo, has now become the leader. He invited us to join the procession. At the family house, Haji showed us where his father was struck down by 5 bullets from an AK-47 on the 24th of December last year. The bullet holes could still be seen. Later, at his father's grave, we spoke to Haji about the death of his father.
Do you genuinely believe ADF had a hand in the death of your father?
I cannot confidently comment, but my father has never, even in his joking conversations, he has never mentioned the word ADF from his mouth. He has never. He has never. He has never asked me a question about them. He has never made a comment against them. He has never made a comment for them. His business was his business.
According to the police report, the key suspects confessed to the murder. The police say these men were in regular contact with the ADF leader. The suspects then led the police to a location where the killers' guns had been buried, at this Muslim primary school in the neighboring district of Bujiri. We met a local who had been here the day the guns were found in March this year.
This is where they got the bullets. And the guns? And the guns were... 2 guns were recovered from here. The 3rd gun was recovered from here.
It was a kitchen, and then they're telling us that bullets were buried there.
With guns.
And guns were buried there, and you can actually see that this place was being used as a kitchen. You can still see.
It seemed strange that the alleged killers would bury the guns in such a public and regularly used space.
Something is just not right.
And this is a man, you know, the owner of this school, who is in police custody, allegedly for terrorism. I would imagine a man involved in terrorism would have been wiser than this.
Perhaps the case against the ADF was looking a little shaky. Then official allegations took a bizarre turn earlier in the year when a wealthy Ugandan heart surgeon and Christian philanthropist based in Australia, Dr. Agre Chinji, was accused of arranging the killings and funding the ADF.
We got information that they actually wanted to attack police stations. And it was linked to Dr. Chinji's group. And in the center, they're recruiting ADF or former ADF. And I think his plan is to cause terror.
Dr. Chinji had been planning to run as an independent candidate in next year's presidential elections against President Yoweri Museveni, who is now entering his 30th year of increasingly authoritarian rule. We talked to him on Skype.
I don't have anything to do with the Muslim clerics.
I don't have anything to do with the ADF.
Dictator Museveni did this is that he was scared that I'm going to stand against him.
And therefore he slaps these ridiculous and absurd charges against me.
The government alleged that you have been transferring monies for terrorism acts.
These are all false premises to divert attention. So the onus is actually not on me. The onus is on the government to tell us the truth. Why are they lying that I've got connection with ADF? Why are they lying that money sent through Western Union was responsible for this people when it actually isn't, and this money was used for good causes?
We spoke to Dr. Chiinji's lawyer, Ladislaus Ruakafuzi. He told us about a man who has been arrested for his connection to Chiinji's alleged terror group.
He's a very illiterate young man in Mbale town who knows very few words of English, like maybe sit down and stand up. But according to the police, this is a man who was trained in Australia in terrorism activities, and that is very highly trained and is very dangerous.
There's a lot that doesn't add up about the official explanation for the killings. Muslim leaders wanted for being Israeli agents. A Christian sojourn in Australia accused of being an Islamist terrorist. An illiterate villager charged with being an internationally trained assassin.
It is the regime's survival. So, first of all, I do not accept this idea, this sweeping idea that the killing of the sheikhs is the work of ADF. That's not necessary, that's nonsense. But it is very easy for government always to play the card of terrorism and ADF and Al-Shabaab. One, for their geopolitical relevance. It's very, very important. But secondly, it justifies the clampdown on the political opposition.
We asked both the President and the Inspector General of Police for an interview, but they were not available. It is difficult to say who is killing the sheikhs, but two things are clear. Infighting between Muslims may or may not be responsible for some murders, but it has also allowed enemies to exploit those divisions. And if those currently arrested for the crimes are to be believed, they have been framed by a government they say has a record of harassing Muslims. Perhaps it is all a political game to benefit from the West war on terror, but it has deadly and disturbing implications.